introduce Lloyd, our next evaluator.
I'll be evaluating Jack's speech. Some of you don't know this, but Jack and I are probably about as opposite on the political spectrum as it's possible to be, and we've enjoyed lots of really intense arguments about how wrong he is about his opinions. And this speech is no exception. However, one of the best things about Toastmasters is that there are no limits on the topics we can speak about. The official rule is something about the topic, any topic in good taste, whatever that means. And so it's not my job to evaluate whether or not Jack is wrong, which he is, but it's not my job. My job is to talk about the speech. By the way, at the current rate of growth of the Muslim population in the U.S., in 20 years, they'll still be outnumbered by the Presbyterians. So I'm not worried about a takeover myself. But anyway, this was a perfect example of what's called a topical speech. It's from the news. And his title, Massacre in Paris. And I thought, wow, you know, the information is so incomplete. It's going to be tough to come up with a lot about that. And sure enough, he didn't talk about the massacre in Paris. He talked about whether or not Muslims are a threat within the U.S. Perfectly fine thing to do. It's a good example of misdirection. You'd be pretty good in the presidential debates, you know, because they do the same thing in that. Now, one thing about topical speeches, and especially the way Jack used, he was required to have some outside research, and he had a lot of quotations from academic and scholarly sources. That created the only thing I didn't like about the speech. You were very tied to your notes. But you didn't really have a choice because you were quoting at great length from these guys. There isn't any way anyone could have memorized all that stuff, and you didn't. Did you notice, though, that when Jack used his notes, he didn't try to hide them. He just plain looked at them. There are a lot of people who, when they have notes, you know, try to pretend they don't have them or something like that, you know. And there's no point. If you've got notes, just use them the way that Jack did that. So, in a way, you did a good job. Your visual aid was interesting. Semi-automatic but sometimes you got to do what you got to do, and that was an example of it. One question on the evaluation form: how knowledgeable did the speaker appear to be about the subject? Extremely knowledgeable about his particular viewpoint. He was supporting a point of view, and he did. Thought it was excellent. I think your source was dead wrong too, but hey, you know. Bottom line, I thought this was a perfect illustration of how this project is supposed to work. It's supposed to be an informative speech based on outside research and explained clearly, and that's exactly what it was.
Christina, let's have your report for timer.
Okay, see the results from the timing.